A brief lecture. Like I said, don't stress about it. It is not a lot, but I still do want you guys very much to pay attention. So please put down your coloring penciles and just kind of check it out. All right. So here's the deal. There are a lot of towns in the world, a lot of cities, right? Some are known for a lot of things, right? I'm from Pittsburgh originally, so my town is known for steel. They don't make it anymore. Mostly it's exported from Japan, but that's what we're known for. Right? So today's lecture, I can go really quickly. Because if there's one thing Cam is known for, it's weird camouflage coats. Right? You guys have got this covered. Right? So, right, am I right? Yeah. All right. So, we're going to talk about camouflage today. Now, why the heck are we talking about camouflage in an art class? Right? What? It is important for survival. You're absolutely right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about it real quick. I'm going to teach you a couple new basic principles of art that are coming handy for what we call your composition of your art piece, right? So we're making non-objective art pieces, but I want you to think about kind of the basic principles of composition. We're going to talk about those very, very briefly today. So let's start with the stuff that you guys already know, right? Camo. Camo is crazy important. I'm going to stay here so it looks like you're shooting in the face. Bah, okay. Camo is crazy important in the art world. Now, not literally green, white squares and squiggles and all sorts of stuff. Nothing like that. What's more important is being able to kind of guide somebody's eye. Right? So for example, whenever you initially see this picture, do you see the way cool sniper dude? Or you see a nice little field of daisies, right? Think about camouflage. Animals have been using camouflage for centuries, right? It's a great, great way of kind of staying alive, right? That's what its purpose is. But in the art world, we can kind of use it to hide or subdue different pieces of the art that we're looking at, right? So if I'm trying to guide your eye around, and I don't want you to see a certain thing, maybe I'm messed up or I'm trying to hide something, right? Then using camouflage is going to be a really good example to hide what you're not supposed to see. Again, this terrifyingly large spider in the middle of the sand. It's a great example, right? So being able to guide somebody's eye is really, really important, and understanding how camo works, thanks to the art, or thanks to the animal world, is extremely important. We got this little butterfly here who looks just like the inside of a leaf. Of course, our friend the guinea pig is not very camouflaged, right? Which is why guinea pigs are delicious. They're a wonderful pet. But unfortunately, we have our guinea pig, right? He's sitting here in a nice open field of clover. It's gorgeous, it's cute, it's adorable, but I promise you, if any wolf, dog, small fox comes along, Guinea's not going to be around for very long. He's just not going to make the cut, right? Because he might scurry around a little bit, he might make a cute little squeaky noise, but he's not hidden, right? He can't hide. So, Guinea do not follow the rules of good camouflage and good layout. So we're going to talk about those. Another thing that we're going to talk about very, very briefly here is a concept called the focal point. Now we're going to talk a lot more about focal points later on because we're going to do a thing called a one-point perspective project, but that's down the road. Right now what I want you to think about is when you look at this picture, right? We're looking at kind of these railroads. This guy's holding up a weird wing-nut-looking thing. You can try your best, I promise, to look way up at these clouds, kind of the negative space, right? We talked about that. Just kind of nothingness. But I promise you, I'll even put my laser here so you have something to look at. I promise you that the second I turn this laser off, eventually your eye is going to start drifting down to like these trees. And once your eye drifts down to these trees, it's going to go in one and two directions. Either it's going to go down to these train tracks, which will take you to the rust of the wing nut, or it'll go directly to this wing nut here. And eventually your eye, much like a toilet bowl, is going to spin around and around and around and around until you get back to this one singular point. So a focal point is kind of the opposite in the art world of camouflage. Right? A focal point is a way that I can force your eye to look in a certain direction. Whereas camouflage is obviously the opposite of that, right? Trying to hide. So people have used kind of abstract forms of focal points for a long time to ensure that you as the audience are going to look directly where the artist wants you to look. Okay? It's kind of like magic. Right? I'm forcing you to look one way, right? You guys understand how card tricks work, right? I can do this over here, and secretly behind my back I'm doing some magical trick or something, but you're not looking at it, right? Because I'm waving my arm around here, so that's what you're looking at, right? It's the same thing. The focal point is kind of misdirection over here. And if I give you just this brick wall, there is no focal point. So what your eyes are doing right now are literally just kind of scanning this picture. You're not really looking at any one particular rock. You might stop and go, oh, look, there's some weird moss, and then get bored. And then you kind of move along. Right? You're not looking at any one particular thing. So this would be great camouflage if I happen to be, made of like concrete bricks or something. I don't know. It would be like a thing, right? So, play a real world example for you, okay? Because let's be fair. even in today's world, you guys have seen some cool animals that are all camouflaged. We've seen like on the YouTube top news, most camouflaged animals of all time. You guys have seen that kind of stuff, but it's always kind of obvious, right? We're humans, we're better than that. Animals, they see in different colors than us. Some see in black and white, some see in like different color spectrums. We see in all these cool colors. I have depth. I mean, my eye is as honed and trained as it possibly can be. So let's say hypothetically, this is from the Pittsburgh Zoo, by the way. Let's say hypothetically that we're all going on a nature hike, right? We go behind the school, those weird woods back there. So we go on a nature hike, and we happen to come across this little grotto, okay? We come across, it's wonderful. Someone wants to go skinny dipping, I tell them not to. And all of a sudden, he jumps up and goes, "Everybody get down, there's a horrible monster about to eat us all!" Now, assuming that he didn't eat those weird mushrooms that we passed by earlier, we're all scared, right? You go to like fight or flight mode, right? I'm terrified. It could be anything, right? But I start looking around, so what do? Okay, I'm going to look, I'm going to scan my horizon here. Okay, no, okay, there's a fence back there, that's fine, okay. All right, some leaves, waterfall, no crocodiles, no crocodile. So, all right, he must be crazy tripping, right? Because no predators, right? Now, I'm not going to lie, this is at the zoo, so we can assume there's a predator here. But no predators, right? Nothing's going to get me. So, of course, we just go on a nature hike, and then somebody dies. Horrible. Why didn't we listen to him, right? All right, but again, camouflage, right? Animals aren't that camouflaged. I can see animals. So let's take a peek. I promise you the animal is clear as day right here. I'll zoom in for you. This is my actual camera. I just hit the zoom here. Okay, all right. And he's still getting ready to jump out at us. Okay. So at this point, your brain, again, like you talked about before, right? You kind of have this aesthetic reaction with any kind of picture, whether you like it or not, and then your brain starts to make a story. So right now, your brain is stabbing in the dark, because that's what brains like to do. They say, "I must know the answer." So your brain says, "Of course, the evil stick creature." No, probably not the evil stick creature. Right, you get the idea, right? Your brain is trying to find something now, so it's going to start making connections that aren't really there. Is it running down the waterfall? Maybe it's hiding over here in the darkness. Maybe I need more light over there. Someone shine a flashlight. I'll be fair. I'll zoom in again. Yeah. Yeah. See, lots of... The pebble monster! Oh, no, not the pebble. All right, how about this? Let me focus a little bit. I mean, let's be fair. It's obviously not climbing on leaves. I mean, it could be an evil snake creature, but I don't see any snakes in that brain. How about... Oh, no, still leaves. No. Now, at this point, this is far beyond what our human eye can do, right? I mean, this is far surpassed, and I still see nothing. How about if I just... Oh, there. Oh, it's an otter. Oh, look at him right there. You can tell what it is, right? It's just a thing. It could be a log. So you get this otter. Now, let's be perfectly honest. And trust me, this brown fur of the otter is camouflage. And believe me, you otter believe it. This otter is sitting in a field of like white rocks. In no way, shape, or form does white and brown blend together. And yet, I don't, now I know where he is now, so now I can see him clear as day. He's this weird little brown hot dog looking thing. But I mean, still, you didn't see it a second ago. This is the same picture. I'm just reversing it. It's the same picture, but now I see him. He's been there the whole freaking time. Right? But it's just brown on white. Why did my eyes see that? And I assure you, I did not Photoshop this in any way. Literally, this picture is what I saw from the bridge that I was standing on. And I didn't see it at first. My friend pointed it out. And I'm like, no. So I hit I zoomed it in, and there it was, plain as day. Right? So camouflage is still working even for our way advanced human brain. Right? Camouflage is a great way to kind of deter where your eyes were. And I promise at least somebody in this room was thinking there could have been an evil stick creature over here, or a snake monster over here. You're looking all over the place because you don't know where the predator is coming from. Right? Your brain is built in a certain way. So why am I talking about biology? Why am I talking about science and math and all this crazy junk? Let's get back to the art world for a second. Here it is. All right. In the art world, when it comes to composition, in composition, when I say that, I mean kind of like laying out your page. That's what I mean by that. Okay? So let's say this is my overall piece of paper. I've enlarged it, obviously. There's a technique, a really good technique in the art world called the rule of thirds. Now, technically, it's just a theory. I'm not going to lie to you, but so is gravity. So, All right. So what you do is you take your picture, kind of imagination, right? You divide it into things. Super science. Right? The theory The idea is that if I divide a picture into thirds, where these lines intersect are going to be points of interest for your eye, right? Now, of course, I can't guarantee that you're going to look right here, but it's a pretty good concept that if I take whatever object I want, again, the positive space, right? If I take the positive space, in this case the bird, and I make sure that he's at least on one of these intersections, in essence, I'm making it so that it's asymmetrical. It's more weighted toward one direction, right? It's not balanced, okay? So it's asymmetrical. I'm pushing off on the side. It makes the picture look a little more eye appealing rather than dead center, right? Take, for example, we got this photo here. And again, it's a little asymmetrical. The girl's off on the side. She's walking off into the sunset. I assume to commit suicide or something. But there she is. I'm going to look at her more so than whatever is nothing over here, right? I can do this with any picture. And I promise you take great pieces of artwork and you divide them into thirds, and wherever your point of interest, your positive space as opposed to negative space, your positive space is going to be on one of those intersecting points. Because something dead center or not on one of those points looks a little creepy. It kind of looks like she's like staring at me, and it kind of frightens me a little bit. I'm a little scared. It's like eating through my soul. I don't like that. You know what I mean? So if we had her offset just a little bit, it would really make more of a positive image. Okay? All right. One other principle. We're not going to talk excessively about this because, to be fair, we don't really need to quite yet. It's only an Art 1 class. But that being said, in the math world, you might have heard of this. This is called the golden ratio, not the really cool spiral thing. But this is called the golden ratio. Without giving you a whole field of numbers, the basic concept is this. If I divide a picture, not in half, but a little bit off half, right? So let's say that's about halfway. So a little bit more than halfway. If I divide a picture, and I divide it again, same distance, same thing, right? If I divide this picture up and I get a really weird looking squares, and then I connect those squares with a spiral, you start seeing this spiral throughout all of nature. You'll see it in spirals such as the flower, obviously. You can see it in trees, the way trees' leaves lay out. You can see it in seashells, obviously. There are a lot of cool places that you can find this golden spiral. It is a naturally occurring image, right? So it's kind of fun if you're ever drawing, say, like a seashell, and this is kind of a beach community. If you're drawing a seashell and you can't get that spiral correct, there's a little bit of math. Now, again, we're not going to focus on that. What I want you to focus on more is this creepy girl space. Now, what I want you to focus on is that rule of thirds, because it's going to become ultra important to your project. Okay? Make sense? All right. So, camouflage. Okay? Blending things in. Right? Focal point. Telling somebody's eye where to go. And finally, that rule of thirds. Right? Now, why is this rule of thirds so important? And really, why am I talking about it? Right? I'm going to give you a how-to guide here for a second. Let's look at this little thing. All right. So, here's how it works. Okay? Your brain has been hardwired since day one. Whether we're talking day one you were born, or day one back in like the old caveman time. Right? Yeah, I teach art and science. So, way back in the day, your brain has been hardwired to think and do a certain thing. Right? Take for example, if you all just look right there, oh wow, you all look where I pointed, right? Because I pointed there, right? So your brains have been hardwired, no, right? You've been told to look in a certain way because I asked you to very nicely, right? There's no real logical reason that you would go to that airbag. I'm not pointing at that airbag, but it's the closest thing that my finger could be pointing at, which could sense danger to us, right? If I make a noise, you're all going to look in this direction toward the noise because the noise could kill you, right? Trees don't make noise, they're not going to kill you, right? But a crazy lion jumping out of the woods is going to make some cool sounds. So if we're all walking in the woods and I don't want that weird gopher thing to attack me, right? I'm going to say, look over there! And then he's going to like leap on my face and I'll like rang him off, right? Our brains are hardwired for survival. That's the whole point. That's where this comes from, right? Here's the deal. As artists, we're using illusion, and we're also using what's already here, your brain, against you, right? I want you to look in a certain place because it becomes more eye appealing, right? You're going to look at a picture and have an aesthetic reaction that's more kind. You're going to look at, oh wow, this cool little gopher dude, what's he up to, right? You're going to like that a lot more than creepy girl staring at us. It's going to give you a different feeling to how you lay out your picture, how you lay out your composition. Here's why. I'll give you a great example. Let me get a ruler real quick. I'll show you. Because, yeah, I like playing games, right? That's what I do. So, let's see here. All right. Now, you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit. I apologize. let's imagine this yardstick, right? Imagine for a second, it's got a nice sharp pointy end, and it's a spear. Okay, it's a spear. So I'm a caveman, and you all are trees. That's the role you've been cast as. So go ahead and be trees. Great. You stood. Yeah. You just stand there and do nothing. Okay. Great. You guys are perfect trees. Okay. So I'm walking through the forest. Apparently I walk like a crab. So you're, I don't want to get stabbed or attacked by any wild lions. But let's say, unbeknownst to me, unbeknownst to me, in this field of trees, there is another caveman, someone from a warring tribe, and I don't like him very much. In fact, he might have a spear of his own. And of course, we know about spears. I can do this. I can kind of shank people, right? Like this tree here gets a syrup, or he can like punji, throw it at me, right? So I'm gonna play a game with you. I'm gonna play a game to prove the rule of thirds works, and we use it every day of our lives, not just in life. What I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna go out that back door outside. Okay? I'm gonna give this. Here you go. Merry Christmas. Give me that stick. I'm going to count to 30. 30 seconds. Okay? I'm going to knock, and I'm going to come back in. Okay? You have 30 seconds. Obviously, don't do it to yourself. You have 30 seconds to give it to anyone in this room. I will have literally no way of knowing. Literally, these windows are blacked out. I can't see it even if I wanted to. Okay? Good deal. When I come in, feel free as loudly as you want. You're going to count down from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And at 1, whoever has the spear, stand up and throw it at me. Okay? Good deal? Good deal? Fair. Now, obviously, don't really throw it hard, because I don't want you to stab anybody else. These trees are beautiful, godly creatures. But we stab me all you want, that's fine. You can rip me apart. Okay? So, 10 seconds when I come back in. We need 30 seconds to pin. Fair? Good deal? All right.
All right, Kobe, keep it really nice and clean, okay?
That's not obvious at all.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Go ahead, you can start counting.
2, 1.
I was looking at you. Were shifty eyes.
Oh, shifty eyes threw me off. That was good. That was good. I should have gone with this big crowd. All right. So I died a horrible, horrible death, and you go on to procreate and make more cave people. Good for you. I'll just walk around like this for the rest of the day. All right. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. Obviously, I failed miserably, but the overall concept. Maybe bear with me. Let me do another example. Something that might visually get you going a little bit more. We're gonna walk in. Okay? We're walking into the door. Pretend this is like the first day of school. You guys just came early before the bell rang. That's good. And I'm like a late guy, right? I came late, but I'm like a senior. Okay? So I'm gonna come into the door. I'm gonna do it twice. Okay? I'm gonna do it twice. I'm gonna come in once and I'm gonna come in twice. And what I want you to do is this, real quick, in the back of your head. Think about which one of me, person A or person B, which one do you want to hang out with? Okay? Again, this visual might trigger what we're talking about with the rule of thirds. You'll see what I mean in a second.
Quiet. Great.
Okay, all right. That's person A. Now let's be fair. He's got some things going on. Let's find out about person B, because he might be worse. All right, person B.
No. Mr. Rogers coming
Right? Oh yeah, I know, right? Person A's a robot. He's a cool ruler, and he got like gears and stuff. All right, so why did person A look so wacky but tacky, right? Because when he walked in, right? No one does that. No one in their right mind does that, right? What he's doing, yeah, I was watching, it was good, I'm learning. What does he do, right? He's not looking the freak around, right? Now, granted, person B walked in and was looking around, and granted, it wasn't like he was like spying on him, it was like, no, you know, he's not like paranoid or anything, but he's looking around. You do this rule of thirds all the freaking time. When you walk into a room, even in little Camden County, right, when you walk into any room, you're not 100% sure what's going on. There could be a panther in the ceiling. In fact, for fun, there's a panther in the ceiling. Yeah, be careful, he hates buses. He's walking down that way now. And down line. So, I needed to say that. No. You guys use the rule of thirds all the freaking time. You really do. When you walk into a room, right, you can only see so much. So if I take my hands here and I go like this, okay, right here, I can no longer see my hands. I'm also getting a weird echoey thing going on. I can no longer see my hands, which tells you that this is all I can ever see, right? So right now, old Dale behind me, I assume he's still there, he could literally jump up and shank the heck out of me, right? I mean, just like armpit and blood everywhere, and like right for the kidneys. Right for those meaty kidneys, right? I'll keep blood for the rest of my life, right? I have no way of knowing. Now, I'm assuming that there's still somebody here because I saw him a second ago. There he is. There, hey, you're still there, right? But I don't know. I can only see so much. So what your brain does when it enters into a new room, even something as dumb as Camden County, when you walk in, your brain's going to go like this. So you go, boom, 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 boom. It's going to try and take in as much information as it can. It can't see everything at once, so it pieces it together. Kind of like one of those old, if you try to do a panoramic shot, you take like 8 different pictures and you kind of stitch them together. You know what I mean? Your brain does that all the time. I can't see Dale right now, but a moment ago I did. So I'm assuming he's, hey Dale, how are you? I'm assuming he's still there, right? So your brain is doing this all the time. All we're doing as artists is exploiting the rule of thirds. Because you walk in and your brain goes, hey, no panthers in the ceiling this time. Yep, no one gonna stab me with a spear. Okay, good, all right, now I can be at ease. Now I can be a part of this class, right? I promise, the next time you come into class, go early into math class, sit down and watch people enter the room. And I promise you, no one's gonna walk in like, going to my desk now, going to my desk, right? They're gonna walk in, hey, right? They're gonna look the heck around because they don't want to be stabbed by panthers in the ceiling. Okay? Now obviously I'm taking it to a dumb point, but understand this happens all the time. Okay? All we're doing as artists is completely and utterly exploiting. Cool? Alright. Give me 10 seconds. Let's watch a demo real quick. Sound effects do help. Yes. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Either one will work. Well, I'll figure out what we're doing first, and then I'll explain it to you in a second. All right, so here's our demonstraciones. Okay? All right, here we go. So, I know, right? So I'm going to zoom in here real quick just so you can see. So I started working on my little square. Right, here it is. Look at him. Now it's not quite finished yet. You can see I still got some white space going on. Right, but I'm starting to work on it. I got a little bit of a cast shadow, and there's some overlapping, so I'm getting a good sense of three-dimensional space, right? Pretty good? Okay. Here's what's going to happen for your project. So, I've got a couple things going on. I've got some rubber cement. I've got some glue. This is made of horse hooves. And I've got some glue sticks. Okay? Now, you are welcome to use anything you want. Now, I won't lie to you. I would suggest that you try something new in some rubber cement. But that doesn't mean that you have to. Okay? By all means, if you feel more comfortable using the old Elmer's glue, go for it. Okay? So we've got our supplies. What I'm going to do, I'll show you how to use this rubber cement here real quick. You take some, ooh, it's kind of sticky. You take some and you apply it to the back here, like so. And then I take a little more, and I apply it to wherever the heck I want on this white piece of paper. Whoa! But you know what, again, kind of think about the rule of thirds. I don't want to put it somewhere that the eye is going to go. So I know the eye is going to go in one of these points.
And I know that if I put it dead center, that's kind of obvious. So I'm going to kind of put it down here. And you can put it wherever the heck you want to. Okay? So, I'm going to go ahead and kind of push these two things down real quick. Bless you. I'm going to push those down. And it'll be on there pretty good. It's not going anywhere. Okay? So, at this point, I've got a piece of white paper and a little tiny square. Here's the project. This is where you all begin cursing. Here's the project. It is your job to continue the square. You must fill the entire piece of papel. Yeah, it stinks, right? I know.
Mr. Geza,
Yeah.
are we trying to make a camouflage on the paper?
Absolutely. Absolutely we are. So take, for example, I've got this green striper going back here, right? I want to continue this onto my paper, and I can make it go really in any direction I want. The second it leaves the page, or my little square, it can go anywhere. I can put a cool loop-de-loop in here. Whoa. I can make it do whatever I want. Whatever I want, right? So, yes, you're absolutely going to camouflage your little square into your piece. But the key is this: to camouflage it properly, unlike that little guinea pig we saw, you need to be able to color properly. Now, we talked about before about good coloring versus bad coloring, kind of using that cross-hatching technique and a whole bunch of stuff. But at the end of the day, this is a good test of kind of your coloring merit. Because a couple things. A, I have to match this color that's already there. I've already set down a color. So I have to make sure that my colors match, obviously. But at the same time, maybe I use that to my advantage a little bit. If I'm trying to camouflage this square, it's pretty obvious. I mean, it is a three-dimensional piece of paper glued to another piece of paper. So I better color really, really well. If I put a big black outline going on here, it's pretty obvious where that line is. And I don't want that to happen. I want it to look seamless. I also want to think about focal points. If I don't want someone's eye to look here, maybe I put a whole bunch of stuff over here that's way more interesting. Hey, look over here. Whoa, this is so much more fun. These are things. Whoa, right? That's way more interesting, that weird triangle Mickey Mouse diamond thing. So I want you to look here so that you do not look here. Make sense? So I'm going to use focal point, and I'm going to use camouflage at the same time to guide your eye where I want it to go. What's the end result? Well, a couple things. I have them written on the front board there. A couple techniques that go into this project. You want to think about blending your edges. We just talked about that, making sure that it's all nice and smooth. You want to think about coloring solidly, right? We talked about before. You don't want these little weird scritchy scratchies going on. You want it nice and solid coloring, because the more solid it is, the more graphic it is, the easier it is to kind of match those colors. You want to think about variety of scale. If I do a whole field of little tiny shapes, that will take me, in essence, a millennia to color. So don't do that. But at the same time, if I do one giant circle, well, that's kind of cheating too, right? You want to mix and match. Some big things, some small things. And the more variation you have, the harder it's going to be to figure out where my little square is. You want to think about movement, kind of like we talked about before. The rule of thirds, making sure that my eye is moving wherever I want it to go. You want to think about positive and negative space. Again, remember, no white space for this project. No background can be seen. I got to color the whole shebang. Overlapping is going to give a sense of depth as well as cast shadows. Cast shadows being whenever one object casts a shadow onto another one, giving it a sense of three-dimensional depth. Okay? So we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Now, you might say to yourself, but Kozak, this project is due on Thursday, and there's no freaking way I can color an entire piece of paper and make a little square camouflage by then, and I promise you can, because other kids have done it before you. Allow me to prove it. Whoa, zoom out. Here we go. Focus in. Okay, here's a student from my very first year of teaching. I'll have you look away and then look back, okay? Look away. Whoa. Look back. Do you see it? Right?
It's right there. She colored around the borders. It was pretty easy.
It's a little bit obvious. It's good, but it could be better, right? Okay, let's see. Hold on, we'll put hers away. Let's pull up another student's here. Look away. Look back.
Oh.
Okay, all right, it's up there. But you see a little bit of shadow right there, right? Okay, all right. Well, this is definitely busier, right? It's keeping my eye looking around at other things, but eventually I go back, because you know what? These little triangles don't quite match up. It's good, it's not perfect. Okay, let's see if we can get something that's perfect. Okay, here we go. Look away. look back. All right, definitely busy, right? The busy is good, but again, it's not, it's going to show a little bit. Man, we got to find some way there's got to be at least one example. I feel like I'm leading on to something. All right, let's try once more. Just one final go here real quick. And look away, and look back.
There's 3 of them.
I can't even tell.
Negative, there's 4.
Or did they actually make one of them fake?
There's only one that's real.
That's
Oh. Okay, I'm doing that. Because that makes me. That's crazy.
Right? So, the key is this. Whenever you look at something in 3 dimensions, it becomes very obvious because this guy is 3-dimensional and these guys aren't, right? So again, remember, I want you to use everything at your disposal. You have to use colored pencil, I assure you that. But this was Cole Ferguson.
Yeah,
Of course, right? Of course. But use everything at your disposal, right? Use camouflage. Use really good focal points. Look at this. He made your eye look over here. And all of a sudden you start second guess. Well, this is obviously the right one. Or is it? Right? Don't be afraid. Have fun with it. Mess around. Make things really hard for your opponent. Because we are all going to be our own worst enemy. You guys, unlike all of other critiques, normally we'll have you scan these in and display them on the front board and we'll talk about them as a class. But this very first project, we're going to take these pieces and we're going to hang them on the front board. And then all of us are going to be sitting in the back of the room. So you have an entire room's length of distance to hopefully blend in your square. If you're successful and no one can guess where your square is, I will give you 100% period. Above and beyond all the parameters. And those are still very important. But if no one can guess where your square is, I will give you 100% period. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you absolutely can get 100 without, like, even if someone finds it. If it's still, like this, somebody found this, but it's still an amazing piece. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that as kind of a fun game. Now, I will tell you this also. On Thursday, you're going to have half of the day to kind of put your finishing touches on this. Because the other half of the day, I'm going to have you guys scan your pieces, and we're going to take them over to the computer lab, and I'm going to show you how to submit them to DeviantArt. In the future, we obviously won't do that. In the future, I'll say it's due on Friday, and you have it done and turned in online by Friday. Okay? But for this very first project, you've got until basically half of the day on Thursday. Tomorrow, I will take you guys in groups and show you how to use the scanner properly. But otherwise, that is it. Make sense? Good? I'll hang up these examples in case you want to, but otherwise, that's all she wrote. Go ahead and get to work.